welcome to the Collectors. I'm very excited about this guest and how I meet my guests for the show. I was at my ophthalmologist. I was in the lobby. I saw a display. I contacted the person who did the display, who was a collector. He agreed to be on the show, and I'm excited. It's going to be a really interesting show. Let me give you, in 1959, a company came up with a very, very breakthrough product. And let me just give you a hint. You can be anything. Please welcome Arthur to the Collectors. Arthur, glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Glad to be on here.
How did you get started in this whole thing?
Oh man, back in '94, I walked into a Hallmark and they had commissioned Mattel to create a Barbie doll after a turn-of-the-century Hallmark card. And the card, what they did is they designed the gown to match the illustration on the card itself.
Mm-hmm.
The very first one they did was this one here.
And I had no idea that they did this kind of thing. I thought it was just the dolls in a box and so on.
Yeah.
So
Me either, actually.
This was a themed one.
A themed one, yeah.
Right.
And I really, I've always been a collector of items, and when I came across this, I was pretty excited about it. I bought her to collect, and I also bought her as an investment, figuring Hallmark and Mattel collaborating would be a good thing. So this was the very first one back in 1994 that they created. You had to pre-order her. You didn't know what you were going to get. They called you when it was in. You went in and got her. After the first one, I was kind of hooked. It was fun, and they weren't really expensive, so I thought, why not? And they made these for 7 years after. And
how many did you have?
Complete?
Yeah, all complete ones.
Of all my dolls.
No,
or
of this.
The seven that they had created.
So it was one a year. Okay.
I actually had them, but I have sold them since to move on.
Yeah, make more money.
I've evolved, yeah. But this was the very first one that they came up with, and it was the very first doll I had purchased. After that...
Oh, we got a second one.
Oh, yes. For New Year's Eve, I was at a friend's home, and his daughter was out of town, and I stayed the night because it was a little drive. And she had this doll here on her nightstand in all her glory. It's Cruella de Vil, and it's from 101 Dalmatians. Again, good old Mattel got commissioned to create this doll for FAO Schwartz.
Oh.
Yep, and they did the likeness of Glenn Close, who played the villain in 101 Dalmatians. And I just love the detail in the doll, and I fell in love with it, and I asked him where he had gotten her. He had said he bought her aftermarket and it might be hard to find. So I was on a quest at that point, and it was before cell phones. So I went to the internet, pulled up toy stores, pulled up KB Toys that are no longer around,
okay.
But they were in the mall that I happened to work at, and sure enough, they said they had two on hand. So on my lunch break, I went to the KB Toys store in the mall and went to the shelf and saw the signage saying Cruella de Vil, but no dolls. But I'm pretty tall, and I looked up and I saw two laying flat on the top of the shelf that someone probably stuck there to buy later. It might have been an employee, probably an employee hiding it. So I climbed up there, grabbed them down, and I purchased her. And it was kind of exciting finding her because it was aftermarket, and again, I was hooked.
And the hunt is all part of collecting. Finding stuff is the fun part too.
The fun part.
No doubt.
So this was my second doll that I had collected.
All right.
It was a Cruella. And
so
then
what do we got here?
This is my third doll that I purchased. JCPenney's commissioned Mattel to do the I Love Lucy dolls after her episodes. This was the very first one.
About what year was this, Arthur?
This would have been 1996.
Oh, okay, way after the show.
Way after the show. Way after the show. But this was my favorite episode. And when I walked into JCPenney's, there she was in all her glory. And so I had to have her.
Got it.
Yep. And from there, JCPenney's had commissioned every year for 13 years Mattel to come up with another episode, another Lucille Ball episode, which they did Ricky and her, she's having a baby. They did Ethel and her and the chocolate factory, the candy factory, and it went on. And of course, being a collector, I had to have every one of them. And I started purchasing these. But then I came across
some really
fancy ones. Yes. It was the Bob Mackie.
Okay, so let me back up here for a minute. So famous designers actually did things for Barbie. They were commissioned or somehow do a Barbie design.
Every designer pretty much out there has made a Barbie doll.
Okay. And where did you find this one?
This one, I was going through magazines, and I'm a person that when I find something I like, I'll tear it out of the magazine and put it in a wish file. And when I have extra cash, I go through my little wish file and find what I might want to purchase. Well, I came across her, and now that I started collecting Barbies, I thought I would buy her next. But when I was looking for her, it was aftermarket. So I contacted FAO Schwartz, who commissioned Mattel and Bob Mackie to create this doll. It was through FAO Schwartz that you could purchase her through, and asked them if they could help me find one. They did a U.S. search for this doll and found one at one of their stores, and they shipped her to me. And again, I loved the customer service, loved what they did for me. Okay. There's a story behind it, and obviously she is an absolutely beautiful doll. They were going to do a whole tribute to dance.
Here, let's move it. Okay.
And Mattel is a business, and if they don't sell as fast as they expect them to, and they don't make the profits that they think they should, they will stop production. Well, unfortunately, they only did 2 tribute to dance. They did the tango, and they commissioned Bob Mackie to do the Charleston, and then they ended the collection. So I did get the 2 that they had made. She is porcelain, not a plastic, so she's a little more delicate as well. But because of it, they can really detail, like the gloves, you can see her fingers, or on a doll, it looks like a mitten. So yeah, these 2 are pretty special to me because of what they are and who designed them.
And you, during your collecting, you actually found one of your very original dolls, correct? And that's
Yes.
right here. Let's take a look
Correct.
at that.
Yeah. I decided since I started collecting Barbie.
This is the box for the original doll, 1959.
Yeah. Since I started collecting Barbie, I should have what started it all, which was the 1959. She was she made it to the market on March 9th. That's Barbie's birthday. She was named after the creator, which is Ruth Handler, who was the president of Mattel, her and her husband. She named her after her daughter, Barbara Maleficent Handler. That's how she got her name. Okay. So her Barbie's middle name is Maleficent.
And the production of this one was short. The
initial production. Reason being is when they first created her, they take off her shoes here. They put holes in the bottom of her feet and put copper tubes in. She sat on a stand with 2 bars, so she was freestanding. But what was happening is the copper was oxidizing and turning the feet green. So after 6 months of production, they halted it, changed the design, and gave her solid feet with a wire stand, similar to this. I don't have the stand. Unfortunately, the stand is highly priced and highly sought after as well because they're so rare.
Well, after this show, you'll be able to get one.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so.
Someone's going to call you and give you one.
And gift me one, right?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so she's, they did 200,000 blondes and 100,000 brunettes. They debuted her at the New York Toy Fair, is where she is where they showed her. Yep. And a lot of them, you know, the reason she's so rare is a lot of them get broken, they get burned up in house fires, they get lost, they get, a brother will cut the hair off, they get damaged. So to find them in mint condition with the box, they are very rare and very sought after by a Barbie collector. And I happen to be very fortunate to have the right to win a bid on eBay and purchase her.
I bet you were on pins and needles while you were bidding on that.
Yeah, yes, I was. Yeah.
So it looks like they decided to do some special editions and upgrade the look of Barbie.
Yes, they did. Some higher quality, more detail, not just what's called the play line for kids. These are for the adult collector.
Okay, and these are a couple examples.
These are a couple of the examples. These are two of the first in this line. It's called Barbie Fashion Model Collection. And they're designed by a designer named Robert Best. Mattel caught wind of them and hired him to create this line for their company.
All right.
And now he's He's one of the higher ups in Mattel, actually.
And
Robert Best is.
value-wise, if you took that out of the box, I think all collectors should know this. You know, if you keep the original box, keep the original wrapping, keep the receipt, and if it stays in the original box, the value just goes up. So it's a good thing to do that.
If you debox them, it depreciates the value 50%
Okay.
of what it's
Good
worth.
to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah. So these are the first two that they came out with. When I first saw them online, Mattel came up with their own MattelCollectors.com that you could go to. They offered certain dolls only to collectors on their site. It wasn't in the stores. It was only online.
All right.
Is where they started this. Where is I at now? When I first saw them online, I really thought it was kind of silly, them being in lingerie.
Yeah.
I figured women would have a cow fit about these dolls being in lingerie.
Might not be politically correct. Okay.
Which they did. Yeah, there was big controversy about them coming out with these dolls this way. But the reason they did this is because they came out with individual outfits that you could buy to redress your dolls if you want to debox them and display them, which I have every one of the outfits still boxed. Forgot to bring one to show you guys.
And the fact that it was controversial might help the value.
It might help the value, most definitely. When these first came out, you could get them for like $45 from Mattel. You'd buy it, put it on eBay, they were going for $300. Right away, why they were still available through Mattel, people didn't realize it. Because
it's still a limited edition.
Still a limited edition. They only made so many worldwide. They usually put on the back of the box how many they made. And on this one, on these, they did not. Later they did.
Okay.
Okay, but
those are cool.
These were the first two.
All right.
And at the time, I didn't have the job I have now, so I wasn't making the money I'm making now. So I couldn't buy every single one of these that I wanted. So Mattel had a payment plan.
Oh my God, okay.
So I had to pick and choose the doll I wanted and then pay for it before I could get it.
There you go.
All right. So when I got my better job, I decided to go back and purchase every single one of the dolls that I didn't get to, that I wanted, that I didn't get to get. Because as a collector, I'm one that I have to have the complete collection or it's not a complete collection, if I like the doll or not. And some of them were harder to find at a better price because aftermarket, they definitely go up in value.
Now, sometimes there's a mistake made. Like for the first edition, there's something that's not quite correct and it becomes very, very valuable. Does that ever happen in the collecting of Barbie?
It does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it definitely does. And Mattel will come out with a recall, basically, asking you to send it back.
Of course, nobody's does. I'm keeping it.
Usually, and they'll send you one that's corrected. Most people hold on to them because they're yes. Matter of fact, Robert Best, that's what he collects. And I did not know this until I had taken a bunch of my dolls to one of the conventions. Okay. They do a national convention every year somewhere in the U.S. And the designers come and they bring a one-of-a-kind doll to auction off because the conventions are all for charity.
That's nice.
It's really, really nice. And we'll get into that later.
Yep.
But Robert Best did collect, and I had a couple of them that he wanted for me because that's what he collected, which he didn't get them. I still have them because they're part of my collection.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do mess ups where they double print a box.
Okay.
They'll do it upside down.
Anytime that happens in any kind of a production thing, it suddenly becomes more collectible.
More collectible.
And more valuable.
Yeah, because it's more of...
Now we got a couple others here, too.
Yes. And then companies like FAO Schwarz commissioned Mattel to do some of the Silkstones that were sold strictly in their locations, and this is one of them, which makes it, again...
Tell us briefly about Silkstone. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Silkstone. It's a marble polymer. It's very, to the touch, it feels silky, that's hence silk, and because it's solid and heavy, the stone came in. So Silkstone is their name.
About what year did they start doing that?
In 2000.
2000.
2000 is when this line started, the Barbie Fashion Model Collection. They used the original vintage mold from the original doll. These are hand painted. The hair's hand plugged. The detail and the quality, silk nylons. They usually give them some accessories.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very, very detailed, and it's for the adult collector,
give me
not
an
the
idea,
kids.
purchasing this new, how much?
Purchasing her new from FAO Schwarz was like $100.
Okay, all right.
Now, because FAO Schwartz is no longer has their toy stores like they did, and these are out of commission now, she's worth about $600.
Okay, great. That's a nice return.
So
it's
a
a
nice
good
return on the money, especially when you have over like 300 of the Silkstone dolls. It's a nice little return.
Oh my God.
And some are even rarer than this. Now this one they may have, let's see, put how many they made. No, they did not.
Well, we'll just say they made 10.
Yeah,
We'll run the value up on them. All right, what's your next one?
Okay. Now this one is a platinum doll. This one they did only manufacture. And where did they put it? There's less, I happen to know this, they didn't put it on this one either. There's less than 1,000 of these made
Okay.
throughout the world. And they're called platinum because of it. And this is one that Robert Best did sign for me. So it makes her even,
That helps.
yeah, makes
And
her
he
even more
designed
worth.
that outfit is the idea. Okay.
Actually, and I didn't bring her. It was called Sunday's Best. She was an African American.
Okay.
It was the first African American Silkstone they did. She's in the same outfit, but it's lavender.
Oh.
And they made 5,000 worldwide.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Then they came out with this one called her City Smart. Did the same outfit, but change of colors. Did a Caucasian instead, and did only 1,000 of them worldwide.
All right.
So they make them. It's called platinum. The ones that they do 5,000 are called gold.
Oh.
And then there's black label, which are. We'll get into that as well.
I'm fascinated by this because I had no idea that there was this depth to the Barbie thing.
How extensive.
Even though
And
the
believe
movies
me,
are.
I did not either until I started collecting. I didn't know there was national conventions.
Sure.
Yeah.
You start finding out about it.
Yep, the national conventions, they have them in Europe, they have them in Paris, Milan, Italy. I would love to go to one of those. I haven't forked out the money yet to go,
well,
but
you
I go
will.
to the ones here in the U.S. Yeah,
What
I
is
definitely
this one
will.
here?
This one here is another Silkstone. And this is how they,
Nice packaging.
very nice packaging here. I'll pull it up like this so you
Wow.
can see it. So you get excited to see the doll and open her up and present her. This is the Soiree doll. They actually put how many they made of her, and they did 8,100 worldwide of this doll in that collection.
I'll be darned. And do you know who designed this one?
These were all done by Robert Best.
Robert-
The
oh,
same
these- the
designer
ones we're
did.
looking at are the
Yep.
same, okay.
Yep. They're
Robert
all
Best.
from Robert Best. So then they decided on this one to do a platinum, which they made less than 1,000 worldwide.
Okay.
Same doll or same outfit, but they changed her up.
Oh, it's the same decoration, everything about just different dress.
Just different dress and hair color.
Okay,
It's
and
the
hair-
only difference.
Okay.
Yeah, but it made her more sought after because they only created 1,000 of these
And
worldwide.
again, what year about did they do this?
This, I'm not even positive when they did this. I am very sorry, but
That's okay.
yeah.
They're not real old.
No, they're not real. They're within,
new.
because they started in 2000.
Doing this
So,
particular
and
series.
they ended the series in 2020.
Okay.
So for 20 years, they did the Silkstone dolls. What happened is Robert Best moved up in the company, and so his design, halted, stopped.
Okay. All right.
Because this was
That
his
happens. Progress.
progress. Yep, this was his baby. Plus, like any company, what Mattel started to do is cut down on the quality, should I say, the amount of money that Robert Best could design the doll, and he didn't want to cheapen
Okay.
the line, so he's the one that pretty much made that decision
He
to
said,
stop.
yeah, I'm not going to do it. Okay,
I'm not
I
gonna do
get
it anymore.
I
You
get
know.
it. And they're manufacturers. They got to make a profit. I get it.
They're a company, they're cool.
So, yep. All right.
Exactly. So that's the platinum dolls in the Silkstone line. I sold the rest of my dolls. The Lucille Ball collection I had, the Quilla DeVille, I evolved to the Silkstones. I found what I
Often a
really
often a
loved
collector gets more focused on stuff. Yeah.
on stuff. Yep, and the detail and the quality is what hooked me on the Silkstone dolls, and the profitability in it for
Yeah.
future retirement money.
So
Yes.
you're a passionate collector, but you're also thinking of the value in the future so that you can maybe make a buck on it someday when you sell it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep. Because I've even kind of evolved from this into making dioramas.
Okay.
which I love the detail of it, and I use the dolls in the dioramas.
Oh, okay. All right.
And yeah, so I've kind of moved on. I have over 60 of these silk stones deboxed that I use in my displays,
Got it.
in my dioramas.
All right, Arthur, let's look at these special editions. They're pretty interesting.
Yeah. This one was by every woman knows who Coach is, and they commissioned Mattel to create a Barbie for for Coach. The bag is actually made at the manufacturing plant, Coach's manufacturing plant.
Oh, no kidding.
It is leather. It is stamped Coach. It's just a miniature version of what a woman would buy out there. Yeah.
Wow.
So this is a limited as well. You had, when they first came out, you had to order it through a Coach store. So you had to literally.
So there was a tie-in there. So the Coach got, okay, good. I get it.
Okay. People go into their stores when they come in, hey, buy a bag. Yeah.
I'm sure there was some negotiations going on here between Coach. Yeah, you want our bag and you want to have that name, they got to get it through us.
Yeah.
So they get a mom to buy the real bag, maybe.
Exactly.
Okay.
So at the very beginning, you had to order it through Coach, and then later you could order it through Mattel.com.
Okay.
Through them.
Oh,
But
cool.
at first, but no one knew if they were going to do that. Basically, what it was is they wanted to see how well it sold, and it sold well. So then they offered it through Mattel.
Got it.
Itself.
Test market. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the Coach
All
doll.
right. All right. I'll take that.
All right.
I'll take that.
Another special edition. Everybody knows who these people are, or monsters are. Now, this is another special edition. I did have the Addams Family as well, Morticia and Gomez, but I didn't like that one as much, and I sold it for a profit. I sold it and kept the Munsters.
All right. Well, the Munsters were popular.
They
for
were
sure.
very popular. It was one of my favorite TV shows as a kid.
And how much would this be retail?
Now about $900.
Can I order this today?
Retail, no. Retail,
Was $100
that one for
or so.
$100.
And now it's popular, so it's about $900. Okay.
$900.
All right. Very interesting.
Yep. Then Bill Greeny, another designer for Mattel, did this special edition of pretty much everyone. It speaks for itself. Yep. And again, the designers come to the national conventions, and you can either rent a booth at the convention and sell your wares at the sales room, or the hotel allows you to sell right out of your room.
Yeah.
It's called room sales. So it's kind of fun because there's 3 floors of conventioneers walking room to room with their drink in hand and buying and
That
seeing
helps
what they like.
sales.
It helps sales.
Cocktails help
You
sales.
better believe it. Yes.
And so where would you buy this one if you were going to buy it? Wanted to buy it?
This one would have been through Mattel.com as well.
Okay. All right.
Yep. This is one of those special ones.
So this is not in a store somewhere. It's not on a shelf at a toy store anywhere. No.
Yep.
Okay.
And it is aftermarket now as well. You cannot find this other than going on eBay or Etsy or one of those
All right.
aftermarket to purchase.
All right.
And I was fortunate enough that Bill Greeny was at the convention I was at, and I had brought her to sell her in my room sales. But after I had him sign the doll, I decided I was going to hold on to her for a while.
Yeah, that adds a little value to
A little
it.
more value to it. And not only that, I love the box, the illustration.
It's well done.
Yep, very well
well
done. And since then, I've also bought an Alfred Hitchcock through another company, very detailed, and I do a little display with her and Alfred
Okay.
Hitchcock.
All right.
So I decided she's going to stay in my collection for quite a while.
We'll find somebody to talk you out of it.
Yes. Now, Bill Greeny, I'll go over since I was talking about Bill Greeny, the designer for Mattel. The designers come to the conventions and they do a one-of-a-kind doll that gets auctioned off, and all of the proceeds go for charity in the city that the convention is at. This one was actually done for our mini convention
Here in Michigan?
Here in Michigan,
Okay.
called Grant-A-Wish, and I kind of had to have her because they had did a whole line of these silkstone dolls, and they did them after the vintage dolls.
Okay.
They did the #1, which I should have brought a couple of those.
Okay.
They did a bubble cut, which is like her. They did a Ken, and they did them all in the silkstone, and they are like the original doll, the original outfit.
Okay.
And
The original mold.
the original molds.
Okay.
Yep. So what Bill did, he's pretty smart too, is he created her, knowing that someone like myself that has the collection that Mattel came out with, without her, I wouldn't have the whole collection because she is
Oh.
part of it. They did the holes in the feet with the stand,
Yeah, like
just
the
like
original.
the original
Number
#1, and he had her in the live auction. So I had to bid on her, and they bid me up a little bit, but I ended up winning her. And it comes with the one of a kind for Mattel certification, and she's part of my collection.
And you bought it, and it goes to a good cause.
And it went, all the proceeds go for charity.
We are going to talk about a good cause in our next show, because we're doing 2 episodes. And in our next show, we're going to talk about the good causes that are involved in this. We'll talk about that next. So we got a couple more here to look at.
Yes. That's her. Okay. These here were through Mattel. They did a series. This was a series. It was called Holiday Hostess, Barbie. The very first one was the Thanksgiving that they came out with. Robert Best did design these, and you could get them again only through Mattel. Mattel used to come out with a beautiful high gloss catalog that they would send you if you were part of their website, because you actually joined. You'd be a Mattel collector through their site. They would give you special discounts on dolls. They offered dolls that were only offered to the club members at the time. They've changed all that now, but they did, and I didn't bring her. The Christmas one was only offered to the ones that were part of the club. And I didn't bring her. I brought the 2 that I liked most, that are sought after the most because of the graphics. The other dolls just have a colored background. These 2, they actually made wonderful graphics involved.
They're beautifully done. Really super detailed. So as a consumer, if you wanted to buy one of these or any doll, you go online to buy it now? They're not really in stores.
They're not in stores. These are all aftermarket.
That's very interesting.
All aftermarket, and you'd find them on, again, eBay's a big place to find these dolls. And
I imagine people would pick them up, but if they have the opportunity, they would buy 6 of them and sell 5, keep 1, that kind of thing.
And Mattel got wise to that, and then they started limiting how many someone could purchase. You could buy 2, and usually one would keep it for themselves. Put the other doll in line for what they paid for the 2 to get theirs free.
I get it. I get it. This collecting can be pretty crazy, so I get it.
Pretty crazy and pretty brutal sometimes.
I bet.
Yep. And a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. Pretty much all my accounts, I'm a rep, so I travel for an eyeglass company called Ideal Optics. And because my accounts know I collect, sometimes I'll get a gift. And being in the optical business, one of my accounts purchased me this. This was a Playline doll. That someone would buy for their little girl to play with, hoping to inspire them to be an eye doctor or whatever. And even though it's a Playline doll, because of what it represents, it's sought after by people in the optical business. They also did a dentist. So
any trade or
and they did a dog trainer or a dog, a vet basically is what they did. And so those ones are kind of sought after, even though they were for kids, by the professionals because of what they do for a living.
And I want to point out that, this has lots of accessories, has lots of parts. So to the parents, if you give this to your child, make sure that you save all the parts, keep them in a box somewhere. Because if you do that, 10 years from now, it'll be much more valuable than if it's missing parts. It's going to be, because most of them will be missing.
Most of them will be missing. A lot of parents know that Barbie is a collectible, so they'll buy their daughter 2. They'll buy 1 to save and 1 to play with. And they just put the other one away for a while. And it doesn't always work. Not everything's sought after. Not everything is nostalgic enough to be worth money. A lot of it is the nostalgia that makes it sought after.
I think a few years ago, my wife, when my daughter was young, my wife bought 2 of the Barbie. When you pull the string, it says math is tough. And that became very controversial. I'll talk to you about the value on that one later. Okay, we're just about done with this one. We're going to do a second episode, and we're going to talk about some real designer dolls. And we're also going to talk about a foundation and a charity that Arthur works with that does a really good thing about giving dolls to children who maybe can't afford them. And I think they've given out 500 or 600 in different years, and they're going to do that again this year. And we'll talk about how you can donate a doll to get dressed and given to a child that needs a doll. Next on The Collectors.